What is one key factor determining whether the GDPR applies to a non-EU entity's data processing activities? A. Offering goods and services to EU residents. B. Number of employees in the organization. C. Annual revenue of the organization. D. Relationship with EU member states. Correct answer: A. Offering goods and services to EU residents. The GDPR applies to entities not established in the EU if they offer goods or services to EU residents or monitor their behavior. Which of the following accurately defines the GDPR's territorial scope? A. It applies only to entities based in the EU. B. It applies to all entities processing EU citizens' data. C. It applies to entities processing personal data in the EU or offering services to EU residents. D. It applies only to entities processing data outside the EU. Correct answer: C. It applies to entities processing personal data in the EU or offering services to EU residents. The GDPR covers processing by entities established in the EU or targeting EU residents. Which principle ensures that data processing is limited to specified, explicit, and legitimate purposes? A. Proportionality. B. Accountability. C. Purpose limitation. D. Transparency. Correct answer: C. Purpose limitation. This principle ensures data is only processed for specific purposes, preventing unauthorized or incompatible uses. What is a key characteristic of valid consent under the GDPR? A. It must be implied. B. It must be easy to withdraw. C. It must be indefinite. D. It must be revocable only by a court order. Correct answer: B. It must be easy to withdraw. The GDPR requires that consent is as easy to withdraw as it is to give. Which of the following is not one of the 6 lawful grounds for processing personal data under the GDPR? A. Consent. B. Public interest. C. Contractual necessity. D. Commercial benefit. Correct answer: D. Commercial benefit. The GDPR recognizes 6 lawful bases, but commercial benefit is not one of them. What does the GDPR require of controllers when engaging data processors? A. Allow processors to establish their own processing policies. B. Provide processors with complete autonomy. C. Enter into a legally binding contract detailing the processing relationship. D. Ensure processors do not handle personal data directly. Correct answer: C. Enter into a legally binding contract detailing the processing relationship. This contract must outline obligations, responsibilities, and processing terms. How does the GDPR define a data controller? A. An individual or entity processing data on behalf of another. B. An entity that determines the purposes and means of data processing. C. An individual responsible for data security. D. A supervisory authority regulating data protection. Correct answer: B. An entity that determines the purposes and means of data processing. Controllers decide why and how data is processed. In what context does the GDPR's accountability principle primarily apply? A. Establishing lawful basis for processing. B. Demonstrating compliance with GDPR requirements. C. Ensuring appropriate technical and organizational measures. D. Limiting the purposes of processing. Correct answer: B. Demonstrating compliance with GDPR requirements. Controllers must document and show adherence to GDPR principles. What is the primary role of the GDPR's integrity and confidentiality principle? A. Establishing data retention periods. B. Preventing unauthorized access, alteration, or loss of data. C. Ensuring transparency of processing activities. D. Balancing interests between controllers and data subjects. Correct answer: B. Preventing unauthorized access, alteration, or loss of data. This principle mandates appropriate security measures to protect data. How can controllers manage vendor risk under the GDPR? By choosing reliable processors and maintaining compliance throughout the arrangement. B. By storing all data on the cloud. C. By outsourcing data protection entirely. D. By limiting data processing to household activities. Correct answer: A. By choosing reliable processes and maintaining compliance throughout the arrangement. Vendor risk management includes due diligence and consistent oversight. What is required when processing personal data by automated means? A. Data encryption. B. Compliance with GDPR principles. C. Explicit consent. D. Approval from the European Commission. Correct answer: B. Compliance with GDPR principles. Processing by automated means must adhere to all GDPR principles, including accountability and data minimization. What is the significance of the data minimization principle? A. It limits data processing to a single use. B. It mandates data processing for specified purposes only. C. It limits data collection to what is necessary for processing purposes. D. It restricts data processing to member states. Correct answer: C. It limits data collection to what is necessary for processing purposes. Data minimization ensures only relevant and necessary data is collected and processed. What is one of the conditions for lawful processing of special categories of personal data? A. Legitimate interests. B. Explicit consent. C. Contractual necessity. D. Storage limitation. Correct answer: B. Explicit consent. Special categories of personal data require explicit consent or one of the other exceptions specified in Article 9. What is the purpose of a GDPR controller-processor contract? A. To secure data from breaches. B. To clearly outline the subject matter, duration, and responsibilities. C. To transfer data between controllers and processes. D. To monitor data subjects' activities. Correct answer: B. To clearly outline the subject matter, duration, and responsibilities. Controller-processor contracts define key aspects, including obligations and rights. What does processing personal data by manual means entail? A. Manual transmission of data. B. Processing personal data that forms part of a filing system. C. Recording personal data in a paper file. D. Using manual encryption techniques. Correct answer: B. Processing personal data that forms part of a filing system. The GDPR covers processing activities for manual records that form or are intended to form part of a filing system.